Good morning, everybody. So welcome to another great week, and I hope that you finished last week off really well. Hopefully my video on Friday evening inspired you to keep being persistent. If you haven't already seen that video, please do check it out. I'll put the link to that at the bottom of this video in the comments. So this week I wanted to talk about the power of doing less. So I'm going to pick a different topic each day and each week to make sure, each day of this week, to make sure that you're getting an insight into how you can technically do less, ultimately to achieve more. And this is going to be looking at different types of systemizing, productivity, and leading on from what we covered last week on how you can be more productive in what you do. So what we're going to look at this week is how we become more productive, we do less physical work ourselves, and we make sure that our results continue to increase, or at very minimum, maintain the level that they are when you were doing all of the work yourselves. So before we deep dive into that, I've put a comment in the description on this one. Please make sure that you're following our Provest Holdings Facebook page, because all of the videos from next week are going to be delivered through that page. So they will be shared out via individuals, etc. But the videos themselves are going to take place inside the Provest Holdings page or via the Provest Holdings page. So please do make sure you head over there today, check that out, make sure you like and follow so that we can make sure that we are still delivering content to you on a regular basis. So that is from next Monday. So the big thing I wanted to start off with today when you're looking at doing less and ultimately being more productive in your business is your purpose. So again, different topic all of this week, but today is about purpose. Now, the reason purpose is so important to be the first one is when we're looking at using apps and software and building culture within our teams, etc., we need to make sure that we understand exactly what we are trying to achieve and that all of our actions support and move us forward with our purpose. Because what we don't want to happen is we are driving things forward, we're taking big action, we're moving everything forward as we need to, whether that's team sizes, income generation, etc., and then we end up with the result that actually isn't cohesive with the purpose that we've set out to do. So purpose is really crucial. Now, one exercise that we've found extremely supportive of this and very enlightening is actually doing no work on what it is you currently do and taking an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 10 hours, however long it takes to truly deep dive into what it is you do, why you're doing it, and what the result looks like so that you can say that you've been successful. Without that purpose being clear, it's very difficult for you to take consistent action in the right way. And it also makes it very difficult to take consistent action in systemizing, doing less and achieving more. Because if you do less of the things that you're supposed to be doing, i.e. systemizing, outsourcing, creating manuals and processes, etc., and you focus on the things that actually don't drive you towards the end result you're trying to achieve, you could still be completely unsatisfied or end up with a result that you're not working towards when you get there. So purpose is really important for this. So taking those couple of hours out, and me and James have done this again recently, but actually what we found was that it went into a completely new level, went much deeper than what we first thought. And now we've got a very clear picture on exactly what it is that we're trying to achieve and what we need to do to achieve that. So where to start then for this purpose? So how can you do this? So where you need to begin, or where you could begin to get this through, is write down a couple of bullet points as to what it is that you want out of your business. Is it that you want it to have a recurring income that you can live off? Is it that you want to build it to sell it? Is it that you want to take the company public? Lots of different scenarios, all requiring different inputs and outputs in order to achieve the end result. So bullet point these. Write them on a whiteboard, write them on flip chart paper, in your journal, wherever you need to write them, write down all of these items that contribute to the purpose as to why you do what you do. And then this exercise works really, really well if you're with somebody who's got common values, common interests. It might be a business partner, it might be somebody you've met through networking, it might be somebody that you've known for years and you want their opinion on what it is that you're doing next. Whoever that person is, it needs to be somebody who you can be open, honest, and is going to let you really get under the skin of what it is you're trying to do. So you write down these bullet points, you book in anything from an hour to 24 hours to spend time with this individual, because you don't know where this conversation is going to go. You might get straight into the crux of it and understand your purpose very, very quickly because it's on the forefront of your mind and you were able to draw those thoughts out with ease. But also it might take you 6, 7, 8 hours because actually what you need to discuss, the thoughts that you need to pull out and the tangibility between what it is you're doing currently and where you're trying to go and what you're trying to achieve it might take a little bit longer to get there. The thought chain might take a little bit more to develop. So spend as much time as you need to with that individual, really getting under the skin of what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, and why that supports the end result and the goal. So you've got your list, bullet points, etc. You're with the person or maybe potentially 2 or 3 people who can really help support you to draw those thoughts and those comments out. You then need to be a no holds barred, no holding back, no answer or question is the wrong answer or question mentality. And when you get yourself into that mentality, then this session works really, really well. So what we need to do from that point, we've got the list, we've got the person, we've cleared our head and we're going, right, okay, we're going to really get into this, is allow the conversation to be really free flowing. And you want the other person or the other people to just ask provoking or prodding questions that are going to make you think really deep and hard about what your purpose is. Why do you get up in the morning? What are you doing every day that is ultimately going to achieve your biggest result? Because if you're not getting up every day to serve a purpose, then it's very difficult to know what success looks like if and when you get there. So you really, really dive into this, and again, take as long as you need to, write everything down, potentially video record it. So me and James recorded our last session because there'll be elements in there that we will have forgotten about that we might need to recall on, or we'll have the headline bullet point notes, but we want to get actually, what did we actually say? So record it. Maybe there might just be video record or audio, whichever it is, but make sure that you're going through, really getting onto the crux of it. Because the great thing with that is in 3, 4, 5, 6 months time, when you do this again, you'll be able to understand what's changed, what's developed. Are we still on track and are we still on course? Or actually, have we been able to achieve a lot more, a lot quicker, and now the focus has shifted slightly because the results have been better than we anticipated, or they've happened sooner than we anticipated. Similarly, they might not yet have happened. You might still need to put in a bit more time, resource, etc. to get these results. But it allows you to reflect completely because the whole session's recorded and you can see in detail what it is that you were talking about, where that chain of thought came from and where that conversation went. So spend that time really getting under the crux of what it is that you're trying to achieve and what that purpose is. Now, where this fits into trying to, or allowing yourself to do less, is when you know what that purpose is, choosing your first app, software, or anything else to start outsourcing tasks or automating tasks is very, very easy because you've got a clear-cut mindset, view, vision, etc. of what it is you need to do. And therefore, picking an app to go, right, I need some very basic task management, it needs to integrate with my emails, and I need to automate very basic workflows and processes, you can go, yep, that's a free app, that does everything I need it to. So now what I'm going to do is put all of my thoughts and my processes into that app. So it's very, very crucial that you start with purpose, because the clarity it gives you, and again, me and James did this before, probably about 12 months ago, didn't really go into as much detail as we needed to, and we've recently done it again, gone into much, much more detail, and now the clarity is beyond belief. The sheer vision and the change in vision that we've had over the last 12 months is something that neither of us really anticipated or expected it to be. So by doing this, we've now highlighted that, okay, some of the bits of software and the apps that we use are great, but the functionality is serving a different purpose. We need to make sure that what we're doing is tweaking those apps and software, making sure that everything that we need to be automated is automated, and we're not spending time still doing things that aren't getting us to our end result and are now more clear vision. So it's really, really crucial, and it really helps for you to choose where to start from automating and systemizing. So tying the purpose back in and how you can start to work out what your purpose is when you're doing this exercise, make sure you've got a clear result that you're looking to achieve out of it. Is it that you want to understand, okay, what are my biggest values? Why is that important? And how does that transpire into business, or into my business, or my sideline business, or my job, whichever it is. But it's making sure that it's very, very clear on the outcomes, that purpose. Now that you've got all that detail out of your mind, it's now set in stone. It's now, yeah, I know exactly what I need to be doing, and now I can move forward. So it's really, really crucial that for that session, you're starting with the end in mind, because then that app, software, automation and integration element rolls off the tongue. You know, it's really, really simple, straightforward, and it allows you to get started very, very quickly. So I'm going to cover that in more detail later on this week, but to give you an idea of how powerful that is, I put a post out on Instagram last week when me and James were doing some work on automation, and did a very, very basic calculation on that process and the cost implication of that process. So some of you might have seen the post. Those of you that didn't, I'll share that with you now, but tie that into as to why purpose relates to that so well. So the post was purely and simply about automating certain processes that currently either myself, James, or one of our virtual assistants takes care of. And it could be something as simple as pulling some data out of a Google Drive, a Dropbox folder, whichever you use, pulling that into your task management system. So it could be Trello, Asana, Monday, whichever apps or software you use, and then sending out emails accordingly to the correct email list for that information to be passed on. So it's very, very laborious because we're pulling information from one to the next. Now, we've automated that process now so that the functionality, it finds the correct information based on the action that's taken place prior to that. It collates it in a way that can then be emailed out, and that whole process is automated. Now, we were doing that process for different email lists about twice a week, and the total time it was taking was around 20 minutes. Now, we spent about 3 hours automating that process, which in terms of time probably cost us about £150 to £200. So we've automated that, and now what that's allowed us to do, when you work that out on the numbers, is save somebody else 20 minutes per activity, twice in one day, so 40 minutes, 3 times a week. So it worked out at about 2 hours a week's worth of work, £7.50 an hour, £14, etc., etc. The annual total saving on that, on a gross level, was £630, I think, off the top of my head. Take off the 3 hours at £50 that it cost me and James in time value to do that exercise. You're looking at a total saving of around £450. So you're looking at there, you've spent 3 hours and saved £450, £470 per year on those two processes. And that was one process or two processes that we did in 1 week. So if you times 450 or 470 by 52, that's a significant amount of income that has been saved purely from automating a process. And how we selected that process is we now understand our purpose better, and that process wasn't necessary. It didn't help us to get closer to our end result. So yes, it's relevant on the day-to-day, but actually, does it serve a larger, wider, more extravagant cause? No, it doesn't. So we needed to spend time to automate that, to get that task done, dusted, and forgotten about, running in the background automatically. Now, if we didn't know what our purpose was, we would still be doing that task. And last week never would have happened, and we would still be spending that time, ultimately losing £630 a year, because that's what we are spending insignificant time on. So doing this exercise for your purpose allows you to make decisions like that. Go back to Friday's video on making clear-cut decisions. It gives you clarity. It allows you to go, right, okay, I'm spending too much time on this. My end result is over here, and all of my actions are taking me over here. I need to stop. I need to reevaluate what I'm doing, and I need to move myself back on course in the right direction. So that allowed us to make these really, really crucial decisions that seem very, very small right now, but when extrapolated up over a year's period, they're very, very significant, and they make a massive, massive impact on what you do. But again, going over and over again on the point, purpose is what's driven it. We now understand why we're doing what we're doing and how we're doing it. So it allows us to make these decisions far better. So some of you might be thinking, okay, well, what if I don't have somebody that I can do this exercise with? Or what if I don't know what my purpose is yet? It's about giving yourself the freedom to think creatively. So what I would say there is, on your next day off or free time, or maybe a couple of weeks down the line, book somewhere, and it might be 10 minutes down the road, it might be an hour and a half away, wherever it is, but book somewhere that is completely different to your normal working environment. And if you can get a free function room, if maybe you buy lunch at a venue or whatever it is, then great, give yourself some space and some time. If not, try and find a location whereby they might have certain quieter areas that you can sit down that aren't going to be as busy. Give yourself some freedom to think, because it's very, very interesting that the thought processes and the conversations that you have when you're in an environment that allows you to be creative. So really do try and make sure, if you're going to do this and you're not sure where to start, book a venue, book a date, book something in the diary for whether it's tomorrow or whether it's 4 weeks down the line, that's going to get you out of your normal environment. Get away from work. Don't be in an environment that replicates work. Go somewhere completely different. Some of the others here this morning, you might be thinking, okay, well, what if we spend all that time and we don't get the result that we are looking for? Because that's a very, very common thing. Well, why? I don't want to give up a whole day's worth of time to then potentially not get the result that we're looking to achieve. The great thing with spending time looking and trying to understand your purpose is that you don't know where that thought process is going to take you. And actually, I'd very, very likely guess that you would come out of that session with a result that you didn't even expect. So try not to overthink that too much. Try to make sure that you're allowing yourself to be put into an environment, into kind of the zone, if you like, on exactly what's going to get you where you need to be, exactly what's going to allow your creativity to come out, and let those thoughts flow. Don't overthink it, don't get emotional about it. Actually, saying that, emotions might come out whilst you're doing this. So I know that when I was sharing my purpose with James and really diving deep into it, I got a little bit emotional, because actually I hadn't given those elements of why I do what I do the time and the credit that they need in order to drive passion within me. So it was almost like somebody relit the fire in my belly to make sure that I continue to drive forward to do what I do, because now I've got clarity. So give yourself the freedom to think. Take yourself out of that environment and don't get caught up on the result, because if the result doesn't come from that one session, those free-flowing thoughts don't go away. And if you've recorded them, you can go back, you can revisit, you can look at them again, and you can try and see if it provokes your thoughts to take you down a different avenue, or you might be working on something and it might spark another thought or a different direction in what you're doing. So don't overthink it. Don't cause yourself a paralysis from analysis in overthinking the outcome. This kind of exercise, it's all internal, it's all about you. So give yourself that kind of ego massage that you need to allow yourself to feel and think about what you want personally and be a little bit selfish, but don't overthink it. Allow the creativity to just flow out and come through, because getting that purpose, only you know what that is. So nobody else can tell you what that looks like. So really start to think about this, and hopefully you're already thinking, okay, well, what could I be doing to get myself out of this environment so I can go and creatively think? Or what am I actually doing and achieving, and do the tasks and the roles that I carry out every day, do they actually serve what I'm trying to achieve? Because if your goal is to work less and you don't know what your purpose is, if you bring apps into your business that don't serve results that get you towards your purpose, blunt question, but what's the point? Why do you turn up every day if that doesn't get you to where you want to go? And I think a lot of us are conditioned to that point where you're sat in an office or workplace and you're being told what to do. You've got your task list, excuse me, you've got your task list, or you've got your key areas you're working on, and you're going through the motions, and you're not encouraged to think outside the box. So you just turn up and you just grind and you just keep going. And then it's that cliche moment of, I've done 40 hours a week for 40 years to retire on a pension that I can't even live off of. And again, it's one of those really tough pills to swallow. So just don't overthink this. Allow yourself some time to get into some creative thinking. Allow yourself to find out what your purpose is, and it might take a little bit more time, but then that will allow you to start focusing on automating, systemizing processes, tasks, etc., that will ultimately allow you to work less and achieve more. So hopefully that's started some thought-provoking comments and ideas in your minds for this week. So I'm going to roll this theme out over the next 5 days. I'm going to really get into this on these videos and hopefully make you think differently by the end of the week on why you do what you do, how you're doing it, and what's next for you to get better results. So that is all from me this morning. Again, I put in the comments below that we are going to be delivering a lot of these videos on the Facebook page, so Provest Holdings Limited Facebook page. So please do, if you don't already, like and follow that page. Please share this video or share the page with more people so we can keep getting this reach and message out there. I will still be doing videos via my profile as I do currently, but they're going to be on a slightly different note and message. So these style videos will be delivered from the page, so please make sure that from next week, so next Monday, you're watching the videos or expecting the videos to be delivered from the Facebook page, Provest Holdings Limited. That is all from me this morning. Hope you kickstart your week in a great way. Any questions, comments, queries, or anything that we can help with, as normal, please reach out to us, please drop us a message, and I look forward to catching up with you all tomorrow morning. Bye for now.